do I need?
I mean, I think it'd be a good idea to record, and I think you can give me permission to record it too. I can record it in Zoom. The live stream will be a little different experience for people. So now you're on the live stream. I just have the whole window being shown to the YouTube audience.
You're using your phone?
I am. I mean, I can do it another way, but you know, that's what I'm doing at the moment. I could launch something else to do a different type of setup. It really, I mean,
Thanks, Matt.
the video doesn't really matter. Really, what's most interesting for the sake of history.
Sure.
Okay, let me just figure out how to record. For some reason. Okay, so I'm recording it too. I think the video's nice because people like video.
Oh no, definitely, you know.
So let's just give a little quick introduction. This is, my name's Tim Anderson. I've been talking about creating a apology for the left, the nonviolent left, particularly to self-govern since I was 13, and I saw there was a problem, and been hacking away at it. So this is just a Zoom meeting that's and I saw there was a problem. Will is here, and actually, I'm gonna let people introduce themselves. Hacking away at it. So this is just a Zoom meeting. Well, that's enough for me. Why don't you introduce yourself, Will?
Yeah, this is Will Mitchell. I've worked with Tim on the Spokes Council for a decade in, you know, kind of a sporadic way, and I really like the way it welcomes all and is totally nonviolent and really works towards a consensus of people to get our ideas from the bottom to the top. That's it.
Called Matt.
Hello. My name is Matt Reddy. I'm a activist and an author and an elected publisher in County, Washington. And I've been excited about doing something, you know, think about parallel power structures to complement the power structures that do exist currently in our country and on our planet, because there's a lot of corruption and problems in the current power structures. So a spokes council type thing, some sort of, you know, global general assembly process or alternative platforms for, you know, connecting people to make decisions together that can't be corrupted by money and nefarious influence.
Cool. And I'll just say that the most recent impetus for me to, I've got an echo now in my ear for some reason, is the idea, it hit me that if we feed people, they will come. And I have a lot of cooks and gardeners in my life these days, people who are excited about feeding people. And I started Dance Camp Northwest, where we feed people for up to 9 days. And I was involved in Dance New England, where we fed, 500 people. I was on the board there for years. Fed 500 people all day for up to 16 days. And so I'm very comfortable with childcare and feeding people. And it seems to me we can replace the whole living together, camping overnight in the cold and the rain of Occupy with eating together and having good childcare, safe childcare, and fun and dance and community while we're doing this activism and self-governance that's a power equivalent on a flat power equivalent basis, using spokes councils and transparency and efficiency.
I love that.
Really well. Cool.
Do you have a space? You say you have a space you're arranged to begin doing this?
I've asked 2 churches. The first church said they were just too busy. I think I freaked them out with the idea that, we would be sort of Occupy-ish, even though during Occupy they were very interested in it. And another church was just, the concept just seems like too much for them. What do you mean you're going to rent our church all the time that we don't want it? And how are you going to pay? And who are you? And even though I know some of the people, so they're kind of hesitant. But a third church is a woman who I knew from Occupy, and she's more excited and she's less unsure about what this is. She's kind of like, I get it, let's talk. So it hasn't come to fruition yet, and I've just said, can you give the space anytime in May, just one day to start? And she hasn't said yes, no. She's, I think, talking to her social justice committee at the church, and at this point. So I'm hoping that will happen. And I'm also hoping that it'll happen, and it's already happened, and we can connect with places where it's happening all over the world, and we can use our spokespeople to connect. So in that way, online. But I think we also need something, incarnate, so we can actually be together, because so much is lost over the internet. I'm sure you've noticed that. We have to have all of the ways of connecting possible. I think that's one of the reasons Occupy went so viral so quickly, is because people actually like to be together, and it does something for them. And all the chakras get engaged. It's not just your head and your eyes and your ears. You get nose and all kinds of things. People want that, and they want to stop watching Netflix all day long every day and have a real life. And I think that Bernie, as somebody was saying earlier in the meeting, has got a clue about this stuff, and some of the other candidates too. And I think there's ways in which we could participate in this upcoming election from the bottom up that would cause it to be maybe revolutionary. In a sea change of using consent to select the presidential candidate from the left would be miraculous and super, super helpful. And I think a lot of people who are not engaged in politics now would go, okay, if you're going to do it that way, maybe I'll register. Maybe I'll vote. Sorry, I don't want to babble on too long. I'm just going to stop. All right, so we are live on YouTube right now?
We are. You want a link? I could post a link in the chat to it if you want.
Yeah, why don't you do that? And maybe I could post it around a little bit while other people are talking.
I could share the event on Facebook, and I could put it on that, or if you, I don't know. I guess if you put it on the Facebook event, it would come up. I don't know if we actually got anybody from that post, though. It's kind of a sunny day.
Well, it's windy and rainy some of the time.
I pasted the link.
It's sunny here right now, but, well, maybe not. Wait 5 minutes.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share it on Facebook or something also, just for the fun of it.
Okay, let's take a few minutes and just share it and just maybe babble a little bit so there's something in case anybody joins. I got to make sure that when somebody joins, I see it, and I've sort of lost the ability to do that for some reason. Maybe because I started on the phone. I need some cool band playing in the background.
All right, I posted it on Facebook. There, I did something. I shared it.
On your page?
Yeah, I just posted it on... Oh, I could do Twitter, too. I got, I have like 5 followers on Twitter. That would be...
Well, I've got 100 and something, but I don't know who the heck they are.
Yeah, see, I mean, I think...
We've got Seattle Zoom Spokes Council, and I'm in discussion. I don't see any comments. Did you put it in about?
Well, I put this in about originally, but the Zoom connection is there, but not in... I'm putting it in discussion right now. Oh, cool. The mindful activist. I like that, man.
Yeah, me too.
Now, people on YouTube, they can't join, they can't talk, but they can watch.
They could watch it, and then if they get interested, all you have to do is put the link in the YouTube chat room to the Zoom room. We could do that. If there's a chat room. But anyways.
Also, if I pay a few dollars more a month, I can make it so we can share it on Facebook from Zoom directly.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is cool.
That's cool. All right. Well, is that enough sharing promotion? We're gonna get massive payoff from that, I'm sure.
Well, I'm thinking I might share it if. Why don't you guys talk for a while, and while you're doing it, I'm just going to share it around to some other groups.
I was saying earlier, Matt, thanks for understanding some of the technology to help get these ideas out to people, even though, there's only a few of us right now. I look forward to, when there's, as Tim puts it, a love army.
Yeah. Well, the technology is, I like technology. It seems like I'm getting to the point where I'm just sort of feeling we are past the point of the technology being where we need it to be. We just need we need some Leonardo da Vinci's to take the technology and figure out how to use it to just facilitate humanity.
That's great.
And they're here. I mean, there's a ton of people who, if they got excited about this, could do amazing things spreading it technologically, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like, I don't know, does it take are you creating, Tim, some sort of organization to, like, some sort of corporation or something to be I don't know, a central vortex of the spokes council concept?
Yeah, I have Next Step Together, which will help me on. The website is old, but it's got all the basic stuff you'd need if you were just coming in this cold and didn't know what we were talking about. And then, and then a bunch of Next Step Together postings. I've been thinking about joining and really getting deeply involved in this. What's the name of this app that Bernie and the women's movement used? It's a nonprofit that helps you like gather the email addresses and do all the sort of tech things you need to do. It's a little bit over my head, but I've been sort of stumbling through it and trying to figure it out. I think we need to, you got to have email addresses. You can't just rely on Facebook or something, maybe you could rely on Twitter, but you sure can't rely on Facebook. So yeah. I've been struggling with, how to take it to the next level. And part of me, and I'm not interested in being in charge of anything or having my organization be the one. If there were another organization that was doing more or less the same thing, I would much rather just help them. But I just don't seem to be finding it, any organization that's really going on this. So Van Jones had a Love Army thing himself that I thought might take off. There's the Poor People's Campaign that I thought might do it. And I'm trying to stay in touch with both of those, but nothing's sort of gone viral yet that I can see. And so I thought, well, maybe just focus on Seattle, because in Seattle, we'll find our people, and we can at least be doing it here. And this is one of the places in the world where things seem to take off quickly. The dog just moaned. It wasn't me. What about you? Do you have an organization, Matt? Or are you just mostly doing tech stuff?
Well, I just have the concept of the Global Consensus Project, and then the website I made was Hive 1, which is where I showed the platform of what I think, a platform that could support basically a chaotic hive of totally equal human beings talking to each other on a million different topics at the same time, 24 hours a day. And so yeah, it's like a mash. It's just a website, and it's not functional right now because the Facebook. I was using Facebook to let people use that as their identity establisher, because Facebook is fairly good about not letting people make duplicate identities. And I just feel like
sure,
we just need it to be good enough. Like the identity process needs to be good enough. The platform needs to be good enough. The facilitation needs to be good enough to not allow facilitation power mongers to suffocate and torture people that attend any sort of thing like this. And So you need it to be built to support basically perfect facilitation. Because if you try to facilitate a group of anarchists and homeless people and crazy left-wingers, you have to be perfect, you know, or else you have so much drama. And people in the business world will not put up with the amount of patience that, you know, we use in the Occupy world. You need efficiency of communication, and power mongers are a danger. There's the, not just power mongers, but the what do you call them? Agent provocateurs. You know, it's like what we were talking about in the previous call, that during once we get something going and get the communication going, there's going to be people coming in to disrupt it, either intentionally or just because they have a big ego and think they have better ideas or whatever. But you have to be able to like facilitate humanity and perfectly, so that it's fair to everyone and everyone feels good and safe about it, and no one can just like talk and talk and talk like I'm doing right now, and just like, you know, making everyone listen until I feel like being quiet. You know.
I agree, it's important. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, you're talking my language precisely. I mean, I'm a family therapist, and this is what we get trained in doing, is how do you keep people in the process without alienating them because you tell them to shut the heck up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really have to get them to stop talking, or else it's just not going to.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to leave.
But can I go back to your question about, do I have an organization? Because I have an idea for an organization I think that could be a part of this, and I could describe it to you if you want.
Do it.
Okay, so I'm a public hospital commissioner, and in Washington State you have like 45 public hospital districts or something. They are special municipal districts, so it's just like a city or county government, just with a specific purpose. And I've noticed that there are private corporations that are kind of in a position of authority over the public hospital districts. And this is going to be part of my campaign to explain why this is a bad thing, and or at least it creates a gap. The public hospital commissioners are not networking and working together without outside of private corporate control. It's only private corporations that create the networking events, and they control the agendas, and they actually don't let public hospital commissioners influence the agenda at all. So it's a very easy story for me to paint as a bad situation. And the cure for that, I believe, is to create a new networking organization across Washington State. There's many. This is the thing. The complexity of the organization could be global if we wanted, but as a public hospital commissioner, I'm going to make the argument, at a minimum, we create one that connects all elected public hospital commissioners across Washington State. And then I think I can get momentum for that. But what I really want to do then is, once we get together, say, why don't we network all locally elected city, county government, and even fire districts, public hospital commissioners, and we network all of those elected officials at the local level through this organization that is not controlled by any corporate money, because locally elected politicians are still good people, because most of our local elections don't have a ton of private money influencing them. So you start out grassroots, you actually start out as an honest person before the political machine destroys you, and then you make deal after deal with the devil to get up higher in the state and the national government. So anyways, this could be another one of those. It could be an example of almost like a parallel government of elected local officials across the country, and they could, instead of just focusing on local issues, they could talk about big issues like healthcare and be another voice in the discussion between Congress, the president. There could be a national organization of locally elected politicians, healthcare, commissioners. And then, okay, I'm just gonna, now, if you're with me so far, I take it one step further. Yeah. Take it global, make it a global organization of locally elected officials, and we would only allow in locally elected officials who we believe their government does legitimate democratic elections. So we could invite, in Hong Kong, if we don't believe their local elections are legitimate, we could literally publish that and say Hong Kong does not have, and we could then challenge Hong Kong to have a legitimate election, and that could be a subtle way of influencing that all the time. Anyways, all right, that's the gist of my idea.
love it. It's very similar to what I'm thinking here, and in the sense that, and I think how people have a hard time with this at first. Everyone loves to talk, and so the first thing they say when they hear is, I want everyone to be involved. But we learned in sociocracy and sort of consensus training that if you're not on the same mission, you're not going to be able to come to agreement about what you want to work on. And so that's why I'm saying, let's just work with the nonviolent left. I like to draw this little analogy here, little illustration. So you've got, we used to do this at Dance New England. We'd get a dance floor, and we'd say, okay, we're going to do a continuums or continua. And so this is us. We're the non-violent left, right? And you've got, Gandhi and all those great people, Jesus and Madam, all kinds of smart people over here that we agree with. And then you've got the opposite of that, the violent right? And that's Trump and those people. And then you've got the nonviolent right, which, Hillary, kind of people who just, it's about money, right? These people are into ownership and money. And these people are into more like love. And then these people are, and then there's the violent are up here. And the nonviolent or non-authoritarian are down here. So, and then here's this is the anarchists, the Che Guevaras and people who are in situations where you have to be violent to succeed, the violent left.
Sorry, could you say, what did you say the right was? Money? Did you say money and property? I missed that.
Yeah, this is the owning class. These are the folks who, they use conservative politics because they want to have a disequilibrium. They want to have an unequal share of the resource, right? That's what rightist politics are about: protecting ownership, protecting, conserving our money. I mean, that's a simplistic way of putting it.
But aren't you just saying selfishness? Selfish people that want more than others and I don't know I think there's so many things that they divide us on between left and right, and they, and so I think it's like, we gotta like see through that, and it's like selfish rich people that just want more for themselves, are on both the left and right. They're everywhere. Selfish people that aren't. So I'm not. Yeah, but I totally.
Well, that's because you're using the word. Go ahead.
I mean, I like I think the nonviolent violence distinction is really important. That's like that. I would say 100%. I think if, it's like if we were doing this with a group of people, say we had 100 people in a field, I wouldn't be comfortable saying left and right. That's like so broad. What you'd have to be, you could say, are you violence versus nonviolence? Definitely a distinction. But once we start using the language that they've, that the media is programming us to keep us divided, I think we are missing something. We think we should shift that language.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and I'm going to resist you here because a lot of people who do this professionally, who are really involved in political science, think that that's kind of uninformed and naive and like you. There's no way to avoid it. There are actual realities of left and right. There's not kind of made up.
Well, just use use a specific one, not left, and use like an actual example, like people that care more about money versus something else or something, because I don't know what you mean if you just say left and right.
Don't you? Really?
I mean, like, look at like Christians. Like I would like to think like is healthcare a left or right, or is universal healthcare a left or right issue? It's like it's not like. I mean, Jesus. You're saying Jesus is nonviolent left, but there's a lot of people that in a lot of churches who claim they really like Jesus, and so they would, and I think Jesus would be for universal healthcare, and I think they just for whatever reason our stupid media manipulates people into thinking opposing universal healthcare is in their interests, and because they just stick with the identity of opposing it. And so anyway, so I just think I like to think how we can disrupt that.
Well, I'm sorry, the dog is trying to pull the computer off the table. Okay, I'm just going to disconnect it. She is very non-technological, I've noticed. So you can go online and you can take a test to figure out where in this quadrant you fall. And one good way to do it is who your heroes are. So if your hero is Che, right, then you're a violent lefty. If your hero is Bernie, right, then you're a nonviolent lefty. If your hero is Hillary, then you're kind of getting over here into the nonviolent right, but she's kind of, she likes to think that she's a lefty too. But you can also, a lot of Republicans are over here. They're, kind of classic, Republican classic. They're not really into war and stuff, but they're, they like the rich to stay rich and the middle class to have the money and the freaking sort of, you're on your own sort of thing. I just think and then the violent right people would be like Hitler. That's the most violent right person. So this is old school Republican, a lot of old school Republicans are also into war. But the basic thing is, people, if your heroes are like our heroes, right? If we share heroes, Gandhi and Bernie and Warren and folks like that, then you're somewhere in this quadrant, okay? And the point I'm trying to make, whether we use different words or not, the important point is we need to organize ourselves in this group, this one quadrant of the continuum, and trying to work with people who are violent or conservative isn't going to work as a first step. Eventually, we want to talk to them and negotiate with them, but we want to do that from a position of power. And if we're not self-organized, we're not going to be in a position of power. We're going to be in a position of weakness because we're not on the same page and we're not working together and we're not leveraging our power en masse. You're not using our critical mass because we don't know who we are. So that's the important thing, I think, is just that my simple point is, if you share heroes and you share goals, then get together and self-organize.
I totally
you want to call it.
I totally agree with you. You're basically talking about caucusing. Like, we have to have a really healthy, dynamic caucusing, ability for people that have common beliefs and values. I mean, and yeah. I mean, I don't know, for myself, I feel like I just sort of like try to stand at the center of that thing and just try to, because we want to bleed over and take as many from each of those quadrant who realize, it's actually in your interest to be in the nonviolent left. Like, let's make the world a better place for everyone and share resources without fighting each other. I mean, you want to just like take people from everywhere to pull them into that. I mean, I think start with the children. It's like such a, and before they get their brains like polluted by whatever gets them to go into those other quadrants.
Yeah, I could say a lot about that, but basically I'm just kind of agreeing with you that, it makes a lot of sense to organize ourselves first. And
yeah.
If we're not going to get anywhere if we don't.
Yeah. And
we can't be infiltrated. This is why I think we need to be a movement that has some kind of membership, but not a political party. A movement that lots of parties can be involved in and can join, but we're not a party in the sense that, we blah, blah, blah. We're controlled by some authority that sort of whatever appoints itself in whatever way that it does. But we're just sort of, if you agree with this basic mission, and I would say the mission is something like, you want a just and sustainable world that wants happiness for everybody. If you're okay with that, then you're a nonviolent left, and you want to use love and
sure.
nonviolence as your main method, then you're a nonviolent leftist. And the other groups can sort of self-organize in however way they want, and then they can send spokes to talk to our spokes once we've constellated, right, who we are, and through a membership process, and we picked and supported our spokespeople to speak to those other people in small groups and do it and then broadcast it and share it and make sure that they don't make any decisions unless we're in agreement with those. So I call it paleo because we used to, for 2 million years, we were, living in groups of on average 32 people because that's all that the earth can support without agriculture. So we know how to do that. For millions of years, we did that as humans and near humans, basically 32 people. So everything that's done in there is kind of transparent. You kind of know what's going on. Your leaders are your your dad, and your uncles and your moms. And there's a lot of transparency and power equivalence, and everyone's kind of on everybody's side. It's 32 folks. If you don't live together well and cooperate, you're dead. So we need to go back to that sort of paleo, the rules of paleo, but we need to do it with, starting with 2 billion people, a quarter of the population of the need to, leverage that up to as high as we can. Hopefully everybody as soon as possible. But the rules are transparency, honesty, power equivalence, efficiency, honesty, non-authoritarian, non-violent, that kind of stuff.
I like it. So what is the next step? Is it the monthly meetup like this? Is the rhythm you're gonna follow?
Well, what I was hoping to do on April 6th was be in a space by then, but I couldn't get a church or a space that felt right, or enough folks who seem to be excited about this. I mean,
what about just an open field?
Not an open field, no. I want a doorway. I want there to be doorkeepers, so we know who you are when you come in, and so we can't be infiltrated so easily, and also so it doesn't feel unsafe. I want there to be food and childcare.
Okay.
Especially childcare first, second.
Well, if you do it,
I want the moms to have power.
If you do it in a physical space, I'd make the trip over for that. That'd be fun.
Would you?
Yeah.
Because I'd love you to start up an IT group. Well, there's a couple people who are in this already who are IT people who would help. But the IT thing kills me. I'm much more of a group facilitator, and even that I don't want to do. I just want to just give a set of guidelines and so people can do it themselves. Me being involved in this is not helping. I'm not that kind of person that people go, oh, let's go. I like what Tim's up to. I'm too arrogant. I curse too much.
What if we did a big event and we both used our powers to promote it, almost like a festival or something that focused in a geographic region?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Every month in a bigger and bigger... Originally, this was called the Stadium Project. I wanted to, let's take over a stadium. Like a big, giant basketball stadium, like where Bernie spoke in Seattle with 35,000 people or something. We're in that same space, and we organize these circles, get into trust circles of 8, and each group of 8 picks 2, and those 2 get into another group of 8, and that group picks 2. And you just, 6 or 7 layers, like an onion. And those people in the middle who represent everybody would be who we watch.
Hey, Tim, I got to go check. I got a doorbell. I got to go check.
Totally.
All right.
Give Will a chance to talk. Are you still listening, Will?
Yeah, I'm here. I was out in the yard working, and another rainstorm came through, so I'm back inside.
It didn't happen here in Wallingford.
It's strange the way it comes through in pockets, but boy, it's really dark and gray and pouring right here. I'm in Ravenna.
Oh, you're really close.
Yeah.
I'm feeling there might be other people trying to get in here, and I'm trying to find the place on Zoom where I can see where they're trying to get in, and it's confusing because I have the cell phone going and the computer, and I'm not really sure which one. So
yeah, it's really a gift when somebody can understand all this. I hit the Zoom link, and it says Seattle Spokes Councils, and it says, please wait, the meeting host will let you in soon. And that came up before I went outside, like 15 minutes ago.
I bet you're in now.
So I'm trying to get in. I didn't download Zoom, but maybe I need to. I don't know.
You need to download Zoom if you want to get the video part going, but obviously for the phone part, you don't need that.
So you guys would at least come in on the audio, computer's audio for me. I'm on the phone right now, and I just on mute when I was, doing my chores. I've been doing a landscape business, so I hadn't taken care of everything in my own yard. Since that address is on my business card, I thought it would be good not to have weeds in my own yard. I've been using salt instead of, the toxic stuff, and thinking about picking up a flyer saying, no Roundup, no Casseron, and try and get people to do a more organic approach to gardening.
Totally. I love that. I can hook you up with a person who's into gardening big time. Okay, Matt's back. Hey, Matt, do you happen to know where that window is where people say, my job as the host is to let people in? Because I can't. It's been here before, and now I can't find it.
What about, like, if you go down to the bottom, in there, participants? If you click on that, doesn't that do something for you?
Yeah, I have that app, and it just shows here, and it doesn't show me anybody trying to get in. So maybe there's nobody trying to get in. I didn't post it to any big sites. If we went to some of the big Bernie sites that are open and have 20 or 30 or 40,000 people in there, and we posted this was happening, all of a sudden I think we probably have a lot of people there. So we might want to think about that for whatever.
Yeah, it'd be a fun experiment to do that. I'd be up for that experiment.
I'd be more up for it if I could find the window where people are waiting. I don't want them to come and get the message, wait for the host to let you in.
Yeah, I think there should be a setting.
While you were answering the doormat, I explained that I did go to Zoom, and it said that I was waiting for the host to let me in.
Right.
Yeah, that's something we can.
Place where I can.
We could figure that out. I'm probably going to need to get going actually pretty soon.
Okay, that's cool.
But I will. But keep inviting me to these. I will join them. I'm a big believer in this.
Well, why don't you send me your email address? And there's no. I mean, I was thinking that I was having these Next Step Together Zoom meetings on Thursday evening, just for an hour at 6:00 Pacific Standard Time. And so we can continue to have those sort of what we call an implementation circle in sociocracy. We can have those gatherings that have sort of closed, and then we can decide there what we're going to do next. And I could inform you of the specifics about the churches that I'm in conversation with, and we can talk about other spaces like Will's has that construction space, and that would be cool.
Yeah, keep me in the loop.
And also, in terms of what you've just done and sent this out and put it on YouTube, is there anything we need to know to follow up on that? Or maybe it's just really been organized enough to want to spread around, but
it'll
in the process.
I'll email you a link to the video so you can share it if you want, watch it. You might just enjoy watching it back and listening to the conversation. That's what I find when I have really good conversations about important stuff. Just, even if it's just for me, I like recording it so I can go back and listen to it. Sometimes, if they're really good, I even get transcripts made of them, and then I publish them or share them.
Okay.
Yeah, but we could, if this was a good conversation, there might be some nuggets worth really sharing.
There might be. Are you good at editing?
Oh, I'm mediocre at everything.
Mediocre at everything. Very good at a couple things, crappy at everything else. And right now I have an echo in my head.
Yeah, I hear it.
Did you hear the echo also?
Testing.
Testing. I hear you.
Yeah, I got an echo too.
Oh, am I causing that somehow?
I don't know. Maybe I have a phone and a computer right next to each other. But one of them's muted. Or actually, I'll mute this one.
If you have the YouTube live stream going, that would be very confusing for you.
Okay, I put it on mute and it went away, but...
No, it's still there.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Will, do I have your email address, or did you find out about this some other way? I
think it was Facebook, and I can private message you my email.
Yeah, let's do that, because there's a whole bunch of other people who are interested in all this, but they're sick of me just trying something and then it fizzles, and trying something and it fizzles, and so they don't come to every time I try one of these. I've been doing these folks council things off and on for years. And now that I think the physical space is involved, people pay a lot more attention to that. So I think that might be the catalyst that we need to get folks to step in who are sort of like waiting for all us thinker, idealist, weirdo geeks to get their shit together.
Sounds like progress.
Okay.
I like it. I like the idea of the physical space, especially if there's dancing.
Yeah. You like dance? Yeah, I was thinking that I have it scheduled right now for 6 in the morning till 3 in the morning. And so we would schedule like we do at dance camp, where we have yoga classes and classes all day and work groups. So it wouldn't just be the spokespeople who mattered. That would just be the sort of the servants of the consent process. The work groups would be where the actual proposals come out of, and where they're doing some serious critical thinking about about what to send and how to interact with the self-governance spokes council people. There's spokes councils and there's groups. And the spokes councils guarantee consent, and the work groups guarantee brains. Does that make sense?
Sounds
then
like
there's classes and childcare and all the other stuff going on all around us.
I like it.
Ideally, we would have people eating and eating every day in a church or some kind of meeting for all their meals in every place in the world, where you could just walk, get some really good food, cheaper than what you could get at home because it would be bought in mass. There's a fellow who is a big business person who's a part of this process, and he's saying we should franchise it, sort of do a non-profit franchise where we buy food and distribute it to all these churches or spaces, progressive spaces that want to have this kind of a process. It wouldn't be dictated from above. They could do it in their own way. We would just provide them with the food at a good price and help them hook up with our spokespeople from various other groups, and they could together. The spokes could meet together, but the food and the eating and the childcare and the classes and the support groups and the dancing could all happen locally, everywhere.
I like it.
Within walking distance. Yeah, you think it might work?
I think you're onto something. I mean, I think the world's, ready for something to really help a healthy, revolutionary energy to get going. So,
now or never.
Yeah. All right, well, I should get going.
It's interesting that when Matt talks,
Yeah.
there is no echo.
Right. It has something to do with me having this phone on, I think.
Well, I'm going to step off.
Thursday night.
The
Well,
time about the kinks.
well, we're gonna call it to an end. Thanks, Will.
You're welcome.
We'll be in touch.
Bye, guys.